I need to pick some zucchini today. That's why I got my basket. In fact, I've waited too long. I should have picked it a little while ago, and now it's quite large, which is fine because the bigger ones are perfect for zucchini lasagna. I'm gonna grab some twine real quick as well. We finally got some rain last night, and we've been needing it. It hasn't rained in a good week and a half. I know there's going to be some things that might need to be tied up after that heavy rain. It is looking so good out here, y'all. It's the beginning of June. And things have grown a lot since I took y'all out here last. You see this guy here. Lots of tomatoes growing. Now, this was an open pollinated paste tomato that I collected last year, and it doesn't look like a paste tomato to me. So it must have crossed with something else, which is fine. It has been doing very well. I've been staying on top of the fungus, the blight. This one got blight early on, and I ended up just removing the pieces down low that had blight on it. And it's been doing fine. In fact, it's got new growth down here without any blight. I come out here twice a day looking for pests, but I also have been looking for fungus. Especially after a rain like this, it's very important to get out to your garden and check for funguses. If you're seeing any types of spots on your plants, it's not a good sign. You want to remove it as soon as possible before it spreads. I've been able to stay on top of the blight so far this year because all my other years, you know, blight or septoria leaf spot ends up just taking out my tomatoes. And I know everyone says that's inevitable, but I'd like to try my best to see how far I can push these tomatoes. They are indeterminate, so if I can keep them healthy, they should keep going until the frost kills them. Look at this pretty sunflower. So many tomatoes. I cannot wait. This is not my tallest row. And then I've got these sunflowers over there. I've got to show you, they've gotten so tall. I've got a mixture here of my soybeans and marigolds that I planted in the rain, and they're doing really well. The majority of these soybeans are already putting out some beans. And that was going to be really fun. So probably this evening I'll come out here with some scissors. I will snip off any leaves that look like they've got any blight going on. I had a few tomatoes over in this back section here that were starting to get some septoria leaf spot, and I was able to remove that, and they're looking really good. I've been loving this white borage. It's done better than the blue one for some reason. They've been putting out their seeds too. I've been just kind of letting them drop, but I think I want to start collecting them and saving some for next year. So I really love this white one. It's been getting some blight as well. In fact, my borage from last year ended up dying from it. So we'll see how much I can stay on top of it. I've been a lot more vigorous getting out here and tackling the tomatoes and making sure they're staying healthy. I found, and it's been quite interesting, I'm not sure if plants can become resistant to a fungus, but they seem to be. As long as I'm removing little sections, a lot of these guys are not getting blight or septoria leaf spot at all anymore. So it is kind of interesting to experiment, and we'll see how long we can get these tomatoes to stay healthy. This one's gotten tall. I said that I wasn't going to let these guys get so tall this year, but I see blossoms up there. It's hard to just cut them off, you know? They're going to be making fruit. We'll just see how they do. This is the biggest borage. It's done so well. So I definitely have to save seeds from this one. It's a bit taller than me. I'm 5'5", so this thing's gotten quite tall. A lot bigger than the ones that I had last year. And the bees just love this stuff too. Just don't ever touch it without gloves. I do, and then I'll actually get little splinters. It's bad. These carrots are going. Look at this. I do have tomatoes within these carrots, but of course they are getting drowned out, so they're getting quite leggy. Which is fine. I've got plenty of tomatoes out here. I really want to collect these carrot seeds so that I can use them in the fall. This is one of my squashes over here, and you know, I planted crookneck squash. Is it just me? Is it every time I try to talk, a rooster's either going off or my turkeys are gobbling? I guess that's the downside of having a turkey run all the way around your garden. That's okay. But I thought that I planted... Oh, that bee startled me, you guys. I will eventually get around to what I'm trying to say here. I know I planted crookneck seeds this year, but this is a straight neck. That's kind of interesting. It's really tasty. I already harvested one, and I decided I'm gonna save seeds from this one. So in order to do that with squash, you have to let them mature. I will just continue to let this guy grow. I've been looking at my garlic, and a lot of it looks like it's ready to harvest. It's been about 8 months now. Garlic generally takes about 8 to 9 months. Some of it's getting quite large, and other ones are still on the small side, so I'm not quite sure what I want to do about that. Yeah, this one's one of the smaller ones. I might be pulling some of those up this week. Yeah, this garlic is all collapsing. I wasn't sure if they collapsed for the really hard rain that we had a few weeks ago. We had a pounding rain. After that, they did fall over. But I'm not sure. A lot of these are still so small. Garlic can fall over if its nutrition is lacking. But I put out some fish fertilizer on these dudes, and this soil's pretty darn good, so I'm not sure what to do. Let me take a peek. You see, these bulbs are still small. This guy's gotten huge. So this is one of the rows. In the very, very beginning, I ended up ripping up all of the tomatoes except this one. This was the lemon blush variety because they all just started getting blight so quickly, and I went ahead and just ripped them up. If the blight is going all the way up to the top foliage, I just would rip them up. This early blight doesn't harm the fruit, but it does harm the foliage, and it will fall off and die. So I ripped those up, and I left this one, this is a lemon blush, because it was still doing fine. It wasn't getting any blight, and it's been doing great. I think it got a little bit down here at the bottom, and I just took off those leaves, and it's flourishing, as you see. These other tomatoes here are black cherry, and I think this one on the end is a hybrid cherry. Can't remember what it was called though, but it's also doing great. This lemon blush variety is just puts out tons of foliage. It's crazy. And here's my Long Island cheese arch. As you see here, they are starting to climb. I had to tie them a bit here to just kind of encourage them to go up and to climb sooner. And this whole row is lemon blush. And I tried to mix some things in with this one. These just took off so fast. Next year, I do have some garlic in here, and I've got some soybeans here. and a few peppers that are trying. But these guys took off so fast. I think next time I'm gonna get a heating pad. That way I can hopefully get my peppers and tobacco and also okra to sprout faster. So the plants that I'm planting together are similar in size, and I don't have anything kind of drowning each other out. This was random. I had my Long Island cheese on this row last year, and I have a volunteer squash, and since it was next to the Jarndale and also the Tahitian melon, we will see what this ends up being. It's most likely crossed. What I decided to do... Did you hear that? It's one of the new roosters trying to crow. They sound funny. Now this little dude, I'm just gonna kind of keep training it to go around and kind of go all the way around. You hear him? So hopefully when this thing goes around, it will kind of drown out the weeds a little bit as well. And we'll see what we end up getting. Some sort of mystery squash. See, the peanuts have got down here. These are my collard greens. I've just been letting them go, and I still use them, and we still eat them even though they're bolting. But it's huge. Got another carrot here that's going to be bolting. You see, these soybeans have gotten quite large. Look at this. Ah, look at all of them. So cute and fuzzy. Oh, and check this out. My beans are climbing. You see that? I've got a few that are starting to go. And I'm so excited. I can't wait. This is the Chinese noodle bean variety. And I love them because they're so crunchy and delicious. They're not all stringy and tough. It's the daisies I planted from seed a few years ago. This whole section around my greenhouse used to have daisies last year. Boop. I guess I need to do some weeding. But for some reason, only a few popped up this year. In fact, I had daffodil bulbs around here as well. And I'm kind of wondering if something ate my daffodil bulbs or something weird. Now, these have really taken off. This is more black cherry here, next to my pink-eyed peas. We really enjoyed the black cherry last year. It's very sweet and plump and juicy. And I think these are black cherries as well, with a few sunflowers, and I put some more soybeans here on the outside. It's a basil. These grapes are just going. I'm wondering how far they'll go this year. Nathan and I picked off most of the grapes so that it could just put all its energy into growing. But it looks like we missed a few. Where were they? Oh, here they are. We'll see if they taste any good. The ones that I let grow last year, they tasted more like muscadines than anything. And to be honest, I'm not a big muscadine lover. But I'm getting to my favorite rows. I love this one right here. It's just... I don't think the camera does it justice, to be honest. I wish y'all were here and you could walk down this row. It's magical. It feels magical. I like how close these rows are. And they're just both filling up on the sides. It's gonna eventually feel like a really fun little tunnel. Isn't that fun? It's just not the same, y'all. You have to be here. This Jarndale is definitely slow growing, I'm telling you that right now, but it's getting there. It's not as vigorous as that spaghetti squash up here, which has been doing phenomenal. I got some okra here. Volunteer tomato. I went ahead and threw out a bunch of buckwheat seeds everywhere. I also have some marigolds that are popping up, along with more soybeans. And we'll see what does best. The buckwheat will come up. The buckwheat will come up very quickly. And I planted that for one. I like it. It's pretty. It attracts pollinators. And it's the only plant that I know of that has the ability to bring up phosphorus from the soil so that the plants around it can use it. So it feeds your plants. These darn black cherries are going crazy. I had extra ones and my little one loves cherry tomatoes, so I wanted to try to put out as many as possible. I'm using these cages right now. We'll see how long they last. My kids did something silly. We thought this was gonna be a loofah plant, y'all. In fact, I know I planted loofahs. The mystery is I don't know where they are. I still don't know what the heck happened to them. So I did order more loofahs and I planted more in the greenhouse. So those will be a little bit slower than I wanted this year. It's not the first time that I've done that. I have so many plants that I plant from seed, and sometimes, you know, I make mistakes or I don't, but I'm still just so confused. I don't know what happened to it. It's just a mystery. This is my spaghetti squash, but the girls thought that it was going to be their loofah plant. So they ended up marking theirs. Look at this. And then they just came out here and started randomly marking them all. I got used to these bees buzzing around my head. It startles me. Isn't that cute? I love this thing though. It has been so prolific. It is just going. Which is perfect because we love spaghetti squash. I like to use it as an alternative for pasta. And this little thing is just gone crazy. I need to start trimming it. This one particular plant has been getting blight the most. You see, blight looks like a little bullseye and it starts out as a little tiny dot, and that's when I prefer to snip it off before it starts to spread. This particular one has just been very susceptible, but it's still doing fine. So I come out here today and I might have to snip off a leaf or two like I was showing you up here. But it's still just going, and I keep meaning to look up the name of this one. It's a very, very tiny cherry. Let me show you how tiny these are. They're super cute. I'm excited to try them. I have a random corn growing right here too. One of the reasons I haven't been trimming this thing back is because it has been getting blight. So I trim it enough every day, a little bit here and there, but I've been kind of letting it go. I don't know though. I might need to start trimming it a little bit. What do you think? It's getting wild. This black cherry over here has been doing great. Very healthy. And that sunflower has gotten tall. I'm gonna need to get up here with a ladder and start weaving these through. It got a little bit of blight down here at the bottom as well, but it is recovered. Septoria leaf spot, by the way, it starts out as a little dot as well, but it has yellow around its dots, and it just continues, and the dots grow and more yellow, and eventually the foliage just dies off and falls off and kills your plant. So it's best to remove it as soon as possible. And this is my Odessa zucchini. And we're gonna take some of these zucchinis. They're so pretty too. Look at these. This squash has been so healthy. Now when it first started, it started to get a little bit of fungus. What is that? I think it's just leaves falling. Do you hear that? Or is it rain? It might just be water falling from the leaves. That's probably what that is. It was the same type of fungus that took out my pickling cucumbers last year that was on this arch. I just call it Minecraft fungus. It looks like little squares on your leaf. So when I first spotted it, I just took off those infected leaves right away and it recovered. It's doing amazing. I haven't seen any signs of fungus since then. But let's take these squash real quick. Let's get this last one here. The one thing about this Odessa squash that has been a little frustrating is it's supposed to climb, and it is getting little tendrils in wanting to climb, but the stalk of the plant is so thick. So I've had to tie these guys up to encourage them to go, and I think once they go, they will take off, but we'll see. I've got quite a few I've had to tie up over here. You see here. It's wrapping itself around this string. I've got some okra mixed in here, along with some soybeans, and then a tobacco. These tobaccos are finally starting to take off, and I'm excited. We'll see how this one does over here. I had to kind of trim the Odessa to try to keep it from getting drowned out, but we'll see. This last arch here are my birdhouse gourds, and they're finally starting to climb too. Look at that. I can't wait for all of these arches to just be covered. I'm just gonna have fun walking through here. This is gonna be my new hangout. I'm just gonna sleep out here with a sleeping bag. So we went ahead and harvested quite a bit of these potatoes and got a decent amount, a lot better than my other years. But we're not finished. We still have this section here. I'll probably do that this week as well. I've got a bunch of corn in the greenhouse that Lily helped me plant that is ready to go. It's a good, like 5 inches tall right now. So we will put that in its place. And I need to go out and get a bunch of marigolds and plant them out with my corn to try to keep those darn white flies off my corn this year. These sunflowers have gotten so tall. I don't know how tall they are, but they're huge, and they keep going. These are all my volunteers. I'm kind of curious when they open up to see what they look like. I think these are my open pollinated mushroom baskets, but they could be my open pollinated Kellogg's breakfasts. Not sure. Both of them are beefsteaks. Although since they're open pollinated, I don't know what they'll be. I ended up putting 2 more Odessa squashes here, and I kind of regret that because these are going to get huge. I see that the rain has kind of toppled this one over. I'm going to need it to kind of go that way. I might have to kind of encourage it to just go down this whole row on either side. This tobacco's looking great. I would love if this tobacco, when it gets really tall, it gets very tall as well, like the tomatoes. The tobacco seems to be growing just fine underneath the shade of the tomatoes, but I wish it was already as tall as the tomatoes. I would love for my tomatoes to have some shade from other plants. That way in August, when it gets really hot and that sun is just beating down on them. They'll be shaded a little bit. I know a lot of gardeners will put shade cloth out on their garden, which I think is a great idea. But my garden's a quarter of an acre, so it's just not practical. But we'll see how this goes. Hopefully the tobacco can get big enough in time for August and kind of shade out the tomatoes a little bit. I've got a few volunteer tobacco from last year. These tobaccos took a little bit of a pounding with the rain. They'll perk back up again. I might need to start tying them to this trellis to kind of give them a little bit of extra support and encourage them to grow up. These tomatoes are looking great though. I have one zucchini over here. This is the Black Beauty variety. And I see a little bit of powdery mildew going on here. In fact, I'm just gonna cut that off with my scissors right now. You see? But I think next year, this Odessa squash over there, the zucchini, is doing so well, I'm not gonna bother with the Black Beauty. I'll just let all this new growth come up and hopefully it will be healthier. We will throw these ones to the chickens. You guys want a snack? That one's a lot easier to just twist off. All these soybeans, and I've got some marigolds popping up here. So happy I finally have some marigolds popping up. I was getting worried. I threw them all out and they were like taking forever to come up. I've got a random potato growing here. You see? This is another cluster of volunteer sunflowers. Ah, look. I can't wait for that one to open up and we'll see what it looks like. And this row's doing great. I honestly get lost out here, y'all. I just love it so much. I can stay out here all day, even in the sun. I'll generally just bring out a glass, an empty glass, and I'll just keep filling it up over at the hose. I just find that there's always something else that I can do out here. I can stay so busy. Gardening is definitely one of my passions. It's not work for me, I enjoy it. Although there are days. There are days that I feel overwhelmed. Little busy bee. There it goes. I think we're gonna wrap this up, y'all. I need to go in and get some breakfast. I'm hungry. But I wanted to show you one last thing that I thought that was really neat. I hope y'all can see this, but I've got these massive bushy trees out here. And I was trying to figure out what on earth they were. They're gorgeous. The flowers, they're just everywhere. And I was mowing one day. I was looking over here at my elderberry bushes. And this is the first year that they're flowering. And I looked at the flowers. I looked at the flowers out in the woods. And I compared their leaves. I was like, oh my gosh, these are all elderberry bushes out there. They're massive. See, this one right here. I'm gonna have to get out here and make a path out to these elderberry bushes so that we can harvest them and just get a ton of elderberries. But I just thought that was so neat. Wild elderberry bushes. They're everywhere. I mean, it's just thick out there. Guess I didn't need to get elderberry bushes after all over here. I just didn't know. I think we're gonna get a lot of blackberries this year. Look at this. I'm going to be mowing later today, so I'm going to need to move these guys out and kind of weave them in so I don't mow over them. All right, y'all, I'm going to go in and get some breakfast. Take care, and we'll see you next time.